The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning. Good to have you with us here at 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. Yesterday we could feel that warm up just a little bit in our temperature. Still really enjoyable outside.
It really is enjoyable, especially right now at the morning hours. It's really nice to get outside, open the windows and let that fresh air come on in. Let's turn things over to Kevin Charette. He's got a look at our forecast because one thing that we're going to see for the next several days, the 90s.
Yeah, we are definitely going to be looking at some 90s and then some upper 90s before we get that cool down once again. So enjoy the nice temperatures in the morning before we see that warm up in the afternoon. Let's show you the temperature right now. We're at 66 degrees in Bakersfield. In terms of the winds, non-existent. They are calm at this time. And as we take a look at the hour by hour here, you can see upper 70s by 9 a.m. We're in the 80s by 11 a.m. And again, those 90s expected this afternoon. Out of Tehachapi right now, a temperature of 55 under a calm wind. We'll see a little breeze pick up throughout the afternoon. And those temperatures will also be on the rise, nearing 80 degrees. I've got more in your forecast coming up in just a few minutes. For now, back over to you.
All right, thanks so much, Kevin. Breaking overnight, a San Luis Obispo police officer was killed during an officer-involved shooting last night. It happened while police officers were attempting to serve a search warrant at an apartment. The suspect was killed by police. A second officer was also shot in the incident and taken to a local hospital. That officer is reportedly stable. The names of the officers and suspect involved have not yet been released. The San Luis Obispo City Manager Derek Johnson called the incident a, quote, tragedy beyond measure for all those who serve and care about our community, adding, we're devastated by this loss.
Now to COVID vaccines and the big move experts say will reduce the spread of coronavirus. The FDA announced children as young as 12 will soon be able to get the vaccine. NBC's Dan Shinneman has more.
The Food and Drug Administration says Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine can be used to inoculate children as young as 12.
Having a vaccine authorized for a younger population is a critical step in continuing to lessen the immense public health burden caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
More than 2,000 volunteers were used for testing. The FDA study found the vaccine was safe and offered strong protection. 17 million children will be eligible for vaccination.
Though one can say that often children don't get terribly sick from COVID-19, there are kids who do get very sick from it. And in addition, they can bring it asymptomatically around to their grandparents and others.
Some 15,000 pharmacies and some schools will offer doses.
The kids are the ones that are more out in the street, are in public, and there should be the ones that be more safe.
The final hurdle, a CDC advisory committee. It's expected to make a recommendation on Wednesday. Dan Shenneman, NBC News.
Now to the latest COVID-19 numbers in Kern County. Public Health reported 21 new COVID-19 cases yesterday and no new deaths. 1,373 people have died in Kern County from the virus since the beginning of the pandemic. State data shows there are 31 people in the hospital with coronavirus. 9 of those patients are listed in intensive care units.
Today we'll find out how soon Kern County could ease more COVID restrictions on businesses as our local coronavirus metrics move closer to the yellow tier. Currently, the county already meets 2 of the 3 metrics needed to move into the less restrictive tier. Our adjusted case rate is the only thing holding us back. It is 2.8 per 100,000 people, but that needs to go to 2. The county must meet yellow tier metrics for 2 weeks to be able to move into the least restrictive tier. Governor Gavin Newsom says all restrictions will be lifted in 5 weeks if the infection rate stays low and hospitals are not overwhelmed. Time is running out for anyone wanting to get a free COVID-19 shot at Cal State Bakersfield. The Mass Vac site will close this week as it transitions to mobile clinics. Organizers say the clinics will allow the vaccines to reach communities in need and fight vaccine hesitancy. If you want to get a shot at CSUB, you have until Friday. And remember, you can find all local sites offering free COVID-19 vaccines by heading to the state's website, myturn.ca.gov. You can also make an appointment to get the shot by calling 833-422-4255.
Making headlines around the state this morning, Governor Newsom announced plans yesterday to expand eligibility for the Golden State stimulus, opening the door for 2/3 of all Californians to receive a stimulus check.
That's immediate relief to millions and millions of taxpayers, millions and millions of Californians. Today, we're announcing $12 billion tax rebate to the people of the state of California earning up to $75,000.
That means $600 for individuals who qualify and an additional $500 for families with children. As the governor said, those eligible must make less than $75,000 a year. The stimulus expansion plan represents the biggest state tax rebate in U.S. history. The proposal must still be voted on by state lawmakers in Sacramento before it can take effect. For more information on who qualifies and for how much, just head to kget.com and click the hot link icon.
Governor Newsom also announced yesterday an expanded drought emergency declaration that now covers 41 of California's 58 counties. That includes Kern. It comes as the governor prepares to propose more spending on both short and long-term responses to the drought. But Democratic Senator Melissa Hurtado says more is needed.
We need about $785 million to cover all 4 conveyance projects in the Central Valley, where we can continue to have water flow down south, and the $5.1 billion only allocates $200 million, which is not enough.
County supervisors will also consider declaring a local emergency today due to severe water shortages. If approved, the resolution will seek immediate assistance from the state and ask the Newsom administration to transfer emergency water supplies to Kern County. According to our leaders, Kern is already dealing with the effects of a lack of water.
Education news this morning. A number of celebrations are planned this month for seniors at McFarland High School Early College. According to Principal Justin Derrick, nearly 200 students will be graduating with college units from Bakersfield College. The units count toward career and technical education certificates, general education certificates, and/or associate degrees. Starting today, there will be recognition events for those students and also senior athletes. The month culminates with a graduation celebration May 27th at the football stadium. The Mayor's Ball is set to return once again, helping support a local organization. The Mayor's Ball will happen after being pushed back amid the pandemic. It's set for December 4th at Canyon Hills City Center campus in downtown. The ball raises money for CityServe Kern County, which works to expand the reach of local churches and programs that feed those in need and provide job training for the homeless population and other underserved communities.
The Mayor's Ball will return because we want to support CityServe, a collaborative network of churches and community organizations connected to overcome brokenness through kindness and compassion.
Last year's ball raised more than $271,000. That money goes on to help the most vulnerable and disadvantaged in our community.
Clinica Sierra Vista is now offering rapid COVID-19 testing and COVID-19 vaccinations. Call 833-278-4584 to make your appointment. But don't delay. Clinica Sierra Vista, putting patients first.
And we're back here at 518 on Capitol Hill. Some of the biggest changes to voting rights in decades will be debated today.
A Senate Democratic committee will spend the day arguing for changes they say are crucial after new voting law restrictions were created by some Republican states. NBC's Susan McGinnis explains.
Alex and Maddie, Democrats say their voting rights bill would give every American equal access to the vote. Republicans say it amounts to a federal takeover of elections, and they're promising an all-out assault. On Capitol Hill today, the battle over voting rights as Senate Democrats debate a House-passed bill that would mean a massive overhaul of U.S. elections.
Our Republican colleagues face a critical choice between working with Democrats in good faith to pass a law to protect our democracy or siding with Republican state legislatures that are orchestrating the largest contraction of voting rights in decades.
The so-called For the People Act would automatically register eligible citizens to vote, guarantee 2 weeks of early voting, and allow mail-in ballots. Their bill would also allow volunteers to offer water to voters waiting in line, something Georgia recently made illegal. It's a response to new voting rules by Georgia and other GOP-led states, including Florida and Texas, restricting mail-in and drop box voting. The Democrats say will shrink voter access, especially for black voters.
This is a full-fledged assault on voting rights, unlike anything we have seen since the era of Jim Crow.
In Georgia, we're making it easier to vote and harder to cheat.
Republicans called the bill a federal power grab that curtails states' rights.
It's a vast federal takeover of all American elections. It's a horrible bill. I'm going to do everything I can, and my colleagues are going to do everything we can to prevent it.
Democrats expect no Republican support, but don't need it to move the bill forward to the full Senate, where it faces an uphill battle.
The bill being debated today would also make Election Day a national holiday. In Washington, Susan McGinnis, 17 News.
Meantime, the Biden administration says the U.S. will protect gay and transgender people against sexual discrimination in health care. The announcement made yesterday reverses policy set by President Trump that defined sex as gender assigned at birth. In a statement, Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra said everyone, including LGBTQ people, should be able to access health care free from discrimination or interference, period.
521 now. The 3 men charged in the murder of Ahmaud Arbery are due in court today on federal charges. In addition to the state counts they face in the February 2020 murder of Arbery, the 3 face federal hate crime and attempted kidnapping charges. Father and son Gregory and Travis McMichael and their neighbor William Roddy Bryan are set to appear before a federal judge today. The 3 are charged with murder after the 25-year-old black man was chased and fatally shot while running in their neighborhood.
KGET Business Watch is brought to you by Grapevine MSP Technology Services, the Valley's leading IT service provider.
In your 17 Business Watch, Amazon says it blocked more than 10 billion suspected counterfeit listings last year before any of their items could be sold. According to Amazon's newly released report, the number of blocked listings was up about 67% from the previous year. The Seattle-based e-commerce giant says it destroyed 2 million suspected phony products sent to its warehouses last year. Counterfeiters attempted to get their products listed on Amazon through its third-party marketplace. This is Amazon's first report on its anti-counterfeiting efforts since it implemented new tools and technologies to combat the risks in 2019. Ford is recalling more than 500,000 Explorer sport utility vehicles. The recall covers 2016 through 2019 models. Retention pins could loosen and allow roof rail covers to detach from the vehicle. There have been 11 reports of rail covers detaching. No injuries have been reported. Ford will notify owners of affected vehicles next month.
If a beachfront getaway is on your summer wish list, you may be out of luck. Bookings and prices are skyrocketing. Here's NBC's Stephanie Rule with tips for saving on your summer vacation.
As the temperatures heat up, so is summer travel. Americans are itching to get away after being cooped up for a year. 72% say they're planning summer trips, up 37% just a year ago.
It's the beach markets that are by far the hottest.
Here on the Jersey Shore and in beach towns like Hilton Head and Cape Cod, 90% of rental homes are already booked for the month of July. But it's not only the East Coast seeing a summer boom. Denise Cody is finally rebooking her trip to Hawaii after a year's delay. And she's paying a hefty price for flights.
We investigated and waited a little bit for the flights to come down. They did not go down.
And rental cars.
The rental car situation was a bit shocking.
Some rental cars in Hawaii are averaging over $700 a day. With coastlines booked, some people are turning inland and looking for more rural retreats.
We will be booked for most of the summer.
Jackie Stratton is a new Airbnb host in Maine, looking to cash in, turning her chicken barn into an apartment with a sauna.
There's no Wi-Fi, there's barely electricity. It's a very introspective place that I think people feel very comfortable.
Most bookings for Jackie's Chicken Barn happen a week or two before the guests arrive, so your rural vacation awaits.
You're getting a very unique space, a place with like a soul and spunk.
So what are some of the tips if you haven't booked that summer getaway yet?
Book it sooner rather than later. There are still deals to be had, but I would say that time is of the essence.
The countdown to your summer getaway has begun. Stephanie Rule, NBC News.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.